Hello everybody, Russ from Lifethreads Albums. Today we're going to look at one of the most common mistakes we see made in design. It has to do with your trim and your guides. It's really important that we take a look at this because if you don't get this right, it will lead to seeing things in your finished product that you don't want to see. So without further ado, let's hop into our designer. Okay, so we are now in our designer and I've just put together a sample project. With this project, we're going to look at two examples where we've got full bleed and one where we've got multiple albums or multiple images laid out on a spread. So in a full bleed just means the picture is going all the way to the edge, which is what you want. However, in some cases, you may have parts of your image you want to save. So with an image like this, we want to point out our guides. First of all, if you're not seeing those guides, there's this view mode button in here. It should always be on the guides mode where you see the pink, the black, and the red lines. You don't want to leave it on the blank mode where you only see the center fold. That's not going to show you an idea of what you're looking at. Now, quick explanation of these guides. The pink is the safe line. Basically, anything you want to keep, anything that's important should always be on the inside of the pink. That means in this area I'm outlining here. Never put any important details outside of the pink, so between the pink and the black. The black represents the minimum trim and the red represents the outside border of what we print. Why you might be thinking, do we have a difference in these trim and guides if we say this is the minimum trim? The reason is that due to tolerances in machines, the way they print, the way they trim, we have to have some allowance. No machine is ever 100% always the same, so we need a bit of allowance there. It can be as simple as where the blade lies on which side of the line when we make a trim. We always trim as close to the black as possible, but sometimes it will trim farther into the black, which is why we say never ever put anything important between the pink and the black. So you have to be okay with losing whatever's out there. So in an image like this, if it doesn't work, what we would highly recommend is relay it out where you keep it inside the pink and then you are now safe and all the areas of that image will be saved. That's a quick fix with those is just keeping everything important inside the pink. Here's a better example of a full bleed where it won't matter. So in this one, there is nothing important that can't be lost. Everything we want to keep that's important is inside of that pink. That's a great way to do it. For multiple images, here's an example of a good design. Nothing in these babies is going to be cut off. We can lose everything that's out here. There's nothing in the top or the bottom. And we're okay with losing these little bit of fingers here because it's really the center of the image that we want to maintain. So that one's a great design. In this one, however, you'll see on this edge particular, and this is one we see commonly, people laying out smaller images in clusters near the outside. It looks great, but the reality is all this in here is subject to trimming. And if you don't want to see that because you think it's going to look odd, just imagine the pink being the edge as your worst case scenario. If you can't live with that, then you need to redesign it. So if you're using our designer, you could scroll through dragging in different templates and see if you like the way one of those lays out. But if you're sold on this one, what we'd recommend is a quick fix where you drag this design over, drag this one over, get it set up how you like. Then take these three, I'm holding down the shift button while I click these so I get all three of them, and then drag them over to this side. And then in that case now, all this will be saved. You can be okay with what you lose here. And in this one here, if you don't like that and you have the room, then you can still slide that over. So you're a little more okay with what you're gonna get trimmed. And again, if you don't want that trimmed, then it would have to come in, potentially slide it over, move it to there, put this guy over on the right, however you want. Or just play around with different templates or create your own template to find something maybe like this that works even better for you. Again, always trying to maximize how much of your image you can save within the placements. So hope that makes sense, makes it more clear. Again, quick summary, everything you want to keep, always keep inside of the pink. Anything outside of the pink is fair game and can be trimmed. So it's very important that you're looking at these guides. And again, those are found with this view mode button, should always be on by default. If not, just make sure you turn it on. If you're importing designs from Smart Albums or Fundy, as a quick note, you should still drop those into our designer using the autofill function once you've got them in the double page spread, and give just a quick flip through your album with these view mode buttons on, or the view mode button on, so that you can see that what you've output is in fact something you can live with. One other quick note, when you look at your PDFs, the PDFs always take off the minimum trim only. The reason we don't show or take off to the safety guide in the trim is if you're doing the white border that I suggested back in here, we couldn't show that. So it's just something to keep in the back of the mind. The proofs are not an accurate representation of trim. We can't do that. It's impossible because trim changes slightly every time. The proofs are not an accurate representation of trim or color. They are just a representation of layout, photos, order, and placement. Okay? So hopefully that clarifies everything for everyone moving forward. Have a great day.